Well, hello everybody. Here we go again. This is Grumpy Dave's Garage. We're making a change of plans here. Things have gone sideways, so I'm going to change things up a little bit tomorrow. A quick reminder, this coming Sunday on the 19th here in Columbus, Ohio, up at Polaris, at Quaker Steak and Lube, there's a car show, and I'll be there. I'm going to be doing the meet and greet and hooking up with another fellow builder. So if you're in the area, stop by and say hello. The issue we're having now is on and off weather and a conflict of an oil pan that's too deep. Which will be a belly dragger on this car. So, what? I'm going to do is in the morning while you're watching this first shorty, I'm going to come out here, tired of dealing with this rain. I don't have a choice. I'm getting this one ready. I got a list of parts to order. I'll probably order them tomorrow. Valve cover gaskets, paint. Go over to O'Reilly's and pick up their aluminum acid cleaning stuff to get it cleaned up. Then I'll scrub it down. The paint's coming for the block. I'm going with a maroon. Kind of a dark red, I think. It better be. We're close enough to it. I'm not going to paint everything like people do. I'm going to just paint the aluminum front here, the block, clean and leave the heads of the valve covers alone, leave the top alone. Just freshen it up a little bit. I've also got issues. Everything's backwards, so the battery cables and everything are hanging over here in place for the battery. Well, that's not going to work because the battery's behind the passenger seat. All this cable has to go to the passenger side of the engine. You can see it. So it's going to be kind of reconfigured. Is another way of saying it. You can see I already changed it to the drive-by cable, thanks to my engine guy Jason. I have to give him a thank you on that one. I got some stuff to pull off the engine, stuff I don't want on the engine. She's in a test stand now because when I bought her, he just hooked her up and fired her up sitting here. Since then, I've removed the drive-by wire system and took it to him, and I got the drive-by cable computer and wiring harness up there, and I'm not sure I can use that. I may have to get a standalone and rewire the whole car and kind of tie them together because the computer goes inside underneath the dash on the passenger side, and the fuse block will be pretty close to it. Interesting, to say the least. I'm trying to figure out how we're going to do that. I got to get that bridge crossed here pretty soon. It's always configuring something. In the morning, we're going to pull the Summit block out. I'm going to roll the canvas back. I'm going to take off both front fenders. It's time to get in there. I am just going to take the rack out. The rack's going to get cleaned and painted, centered, and then we'll hook it back up correctly. And it'll be all basically done for that part of it. It won't hurt anything when I go to do it. I've got thanks to a friend of mine, fellow builder, who saw this, he's in Texas, sent me a message saying your oil pan's not going to work. You've got a curb grabber. And I never thought of it. I was thinking about the clearance and the fitment of the engine. I never thought about that truck oil pan hanging down like it does. The new one's got like a 6-inch sump on it, so it's even with the back of the flywheel with bolts of the transmission, so I'll have zero issues. I sent him a thank you. I would have realized it, but it had been farther up the project. So since I've got the pan coming this week, I can bolt it to the summit and actually set everything using the pan that's going to be in the car. So I'll be putting that on, how we do that coming up. The motor mounts, they're basically ready to go, but I can't see welding it in using a guesstimate when I'm going to have the oil pan here in the middle of next week. And this on and off again rain is driving me crazy. So with the front fenders off, I can literally redo the rack and pinion. We'll get it centered like we were saying, reinstalled, bolted down permanently. It'll stay. I'll get this cross member finished and painted, so everything down there is done. This will have the proper oil pan going on it. This has got to come off, whack that off, drop this off. I'm not having power steering. Like I said, I got to pull the rest of the wiring off of it. Nothing lines up on this MG where it fits the American car. I'm trying to remember where the heck this tube goes. I know I got a tube that comes off here. It goes to the hot water side. I got this tube here. It hooks up on this side. I got all that basic stuff. It's just this one here I'm not sure of. When I get it stripped down and cleaned up, I'll just send a picture to my engine guy and he'll tell me what it is and where to hook it to. He's kind of coaching me on this one because this is my first drive-by computer engine on a build. This is coming off. This is coming off. We've got to make some changes. I'm going to very carefully redo these. I got to go in there, come think about it. I got one of these that are bare. It's not shorting out yet, but it won't be long. So I will have to get a new harness for each side and get it in place. Meantime, I'll get it all, it's kind of little surface rust. Get a little sandpaper on it, get it cleaned up, make it look nice. Clean the tops of the coils so everything's nice and fresh when it goes on. So what we're going to be doing is working on the transmission next, and we'll be working a little bit on the engine, you'll see. That's the reason I got all this going on in here. As soon as it breaks loose, all this crap disappears and it'll be in the car. The wiring harness is back there on the table. The starter of the electrical system has to be off the block for the install is back there. I got the heater box over here. I got the motor mounts, brackets, everything made and figured out laying on the bench. I just need to be able to put 2 and 2 together and come up with something different than 5. And right now, as soon as I come out here, it acts like rain. So people, there'll be a follow-up video coming out in a couple hours today. This one will be hitting midnight. That one will hit sometime around 10 o'clock, showing that we're stripping her down, getting her ready. I'll get my paint lines hanging down. I'll get my rack and pinion cleaned up, primered up, hanging right there so I can paint it. I'll get my grandson, if he's free, I'll put it over here out of the way. He can put that together. I need to make a trip out to my son's because his little compressor blew up. He's just got his big Craftsman like mine. That one belongs out at his house that we bought for the shop out there that we're getting ready to build. We just picked it up for a hell of a buy. And I need something with that kind of reserve to operate the DA sander when I start doing the prep work here. So everything's running around in circles. We're going to set up a picture of the original MG engine out of the car against this girl, side by side. So for all those naysayers that say, there's no problem, you can do that. Put 10 pounds in a 5-pound bag and tell me how it works. That's what we do. Yeah, I might as well show you. You see, if I do that, okay, I'll give you a quick. I got to unbolt everything. I got to mask and tape off areas because I'm gonna shoot the undercoating inside the fender wells first, and cover up the brakes I just rebuilt. But before I did that, I sprayed the rust proofing behind them. So the only thing I got to do is cover them up. I don't have to spray behind them, and just do the fender well area, and then the inside the fenders. I'll do them off the car. Again, I'll have to tape them. I don't want anything on the fender where the two of them, meet together. Mess up the alignment. I might as well start getting some stuff done. This thing I'm waiting for weather and trying to get the welding done, but since you can see how deep that oil pan is. Yeah, that would have been a major fail item. As soon as I lowered it in there and got underneath the car to hook up the motor mounts, saw it hanging down there, we'd have to pull that bear back out of there. I'm glad he caught it. Motor mounts won't change. Here's the passenger side already made. Here's the driver's side rear. Passenger side front, passenger side rear. Because people say right or left, but are you talking right or left looking at the car, or are you talking about right or left sitting behind the driver's steering wheel, driver's seat? So to end it up, I always did that because that's like left or right bank of the engine. Which side's the left side and which side's the right side? Is it from facing out or facing in? It's one of them things you think about. Anyway, before I answer that, we're going to get moving on stuff, because as soon as that summit block comes out and I can put the pan on it, and I'll have the plates here to make the motor mounts, I might get everything bolted together and ready to go. It's a box of old MG books that were given to me when I bought the car. I haven't even opened it up yet. So all this stuff, I got the tote with parts and stuff that goes to the LS. I got the wiring for the LS. I got the starter for the LS. I got the transmission heat shield pan. All this stuff's got to start getting installed on something, because I'm getting to the point that I'm going to have a 4-foot square area to work in. At the same time, I'm practicing my welding. Since I lost some of that muscle control with the shoulder replacement surgery, you kind of relearn a few things. That's one of them. But my stick welding is coming along a lot better than my MIG welding. But it is what it is. I'm moving along pretty good, considering I'm working with basically with my left arm only. I can lift 35 pounds with this one, but you don't lift it very many times and it starts hurting. It lets you know, wait a minute, dude, you've already had your limit. So people, that's just a howdy-do there. What's going down? I'll be at the Steak and Lube on Sunday. Tomorrow about, say Saturday about 10 a.m. there'll be another video up of us pulling the front end of this car apart. and just getting the whole thing set. I'm tired of waiting and working around it. I've got the oil pan coming, so we're just going to set the oil pan to it. So when it's set up and we get the mounts in, we go to pull it back out, I'll know whether I got to cut any more out of that center. There's a lot of ifs right now. See if I got to increase the notch size in that front cross member. By waiting, I get all my answers at once. I need to get the engine compartment up so I can get it primered, seam sealed, painted. Get the heater control cable. I need to remind me. I got to go get that ordered. Get the heater box out here on the bench and get ready to put it in. There's a pile of transmission parts in the way. They got to go on. I got some parts up there for the tie rod ends somewhere. Okay. Then I also got the bushings and stuff to rebuild the springs in the back and the bump stops and all that stuff back there. I need to start cleaning house. I got a ton of stuff to install. I need to start moving on it. And I had 2 videos made up, and I'm having trouble. I'm going to be honest with you. I can't get the camera under the car in a position where I'm working. The only thing you see is the dog's face looking at you, or my elbow, or the camera getting knocked over, or the damn thing shutting itself off and me not knowing it. So the videos are really not nice. They're not. I'm gonna go erase them here in just a minute, put this in place of them, and then we'll get some serious work going on in this car. I've got tomorrow's, we're calling for thunderstorm, which it's not gonna stop me, because what I'm gonna do, it's not like welding where the ground has to be dry. I'll just pull the tarp. Well, it won't make a difference. There's nothing in there. I'll just fold it back and go for it. Because I want to get that done. The faster I can get stuff done right now, I'll be in good shape. Once the transmission comes out, okay, and it comes in on the stand, and I'll be doing that work in here. Because what I'm doing is rainy day work. I rebuilt the whole front end on the rainy days when I couldn't work on the car out there on video camera. And I did the heater box the same way. I did the brake pedal box the same way. So it gave me material to put up here. Plus, I was building components, so I need to get the car together so I can put all that stuff, it's already done, back on the car. It's that simple. So we will get her done, get set up, I may even leave the fenders off, just undercoat them and leave them, put them back on that bench with everything else until we get the fender well headers figured out and welded up the way we want to do them, because it'd be so much easier to just pull the tires off and roll them out of the way and stand right there while you're working on the headers than trying to lean over them fenders, which doesn't play nice with my back. In other words, people, it's time to kick this project in the rear and get it moving. I'm moving slow enough because I'm doing a one-handed work most of the time, but this stopping and waiting for rain and this, and I'm cutting and estimating, I don't need to do that. The oil pan's on its way. It's going to go on the engine. It'll bolt on the summit block. Then we'll put the steel pads on it, so the next time I lift it in, it'll go in, it'll mate up to the transmission. Then we'll get her set level and true and square and all that good stuff and the right angles. And then we can weld the mounts in. And the sweet thing of it is after I do that, I can really pull the bolts out of the center of the motor mounts I made, pull the bolts out of the transmission, go into the summit block, lift it straight up out of there, bring it here, weld that up, weld this up while we're working on other projects. I can be cutting the sheet metal and starting to replace everything that I cut out of the car. It's laying everywhere in my way. Some of it here, There's a bunch of it up behind the welder. And then I got the round tube that we talked about. It's got to be slit and cut. So there's a whole lot going on. I need to get to the point and start doing it. Waiting for one thing to get to, so I can move forward is not getting the job done. I've never done that before. I'm not going to do it now. So tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, I'm going to come out here, roll the tarp back, and pull some front fenders off. I'm going to pull the block out. I'm going to gut her open, pull the rack and pinion up out. When we're supposed to get a rainstorm tomorrow afternoon, so when it rains, I'll just step inside here and clean up, wire wheel, paint, and get the rack and pinion ready to go back in the car. And I'll get the new polyurethane grease cups on the tie rod ends, the outer tie rod ends, and because now it could go in permanently. With the measurements we took, one thing we did get, I wish it was on camera, that the motor mount on this side fits in offset from the one over here a little bit. The steering rod goes right above it. I don't even have to notch the supports. It runs right above it, about an inch. So it's good. That side, we got the clearance to rotate the starter up in the nose cone of the starter up in the transmission, turn it, and then bolt it directly up into here. So it's all coming together finally. But I can't sit around waiting anymore. I come out here, I'm really getting upset because I'm falling over stuff. I got stuff that needs to go to my son's house. This stuff here goes to a project we're working on out there. Got to find a place to put the MIG welder I bought. Bought that Mac welder back there for $60 at the yard sale, and it works. I'll make a little cart for it to roll around in here because I kind of want to use a gas MIG for my body panels and stuff. And I got to learn how to weld with the flux in the meantime. Same thing, I got to teach myself all over again, get my muscle memory back. And I'm working on my stick. It's not too bad yet. One thing about it is when I run the power out here, I'll run 220 out here and set a special panel because I have a 220 Hobart welder, old school welder, that I used to build car hot rod frames with for people back when we were using Camaro and Nova and Firebird subframes and putting 9-inch Ford rear ends under them. I did a slew of those. And when I fired that girl up with a stick in it and got a 2019 rod or something better on it and got a bead running on it, when you could see a red line on the opposite side of the steel where it was burning it in. And I never had one crack or fail. But I put a lot of extra metal in here now, which I didn't have to do. Box parts of it supported it. You know, you just don't tack it together and think it's going to work. The rear end has been found. I don't know if I said anything about it. It is a rear end out of a S10 two-wheel drive pickup. There's two versions of the rear end. The one that's got the lower ears is LSD, or limited slip differential, or positive traction, whichever you want to call it, which is perfect for this car. It'll bring the tires out in the back, even with the body curve at the top. I'm kind of wanting to put some fender wells on it. Don't know yet. That stuff is developing as we go along, okay? So basically, I'm just talking, telling you what's going to happen. Apologize because I don't have a video for you this morning. Excuse me. Like I'm saying, I had two in there. I went through and watched them both twice. They're awful. I mean, even if I would edit them, which I don't do, I couldn't get enough material out of two of them to make sense out of one. So we're just going to call it a day. Let you know what's coming down. It's about 10 o'clock in the morning. If you see this one first, you will know there's another one coming right behind it, and it's going to be packed with getting this car going big time. Disassembled and everything together on it. There's my shop dog. She wants to go in the house because mommy's in there, and mommy's probably making some nummies and having a snack, and she's not getting a lick of it. People, like, subscribe, leave a comment, and remember, Steak and Lube on Sunday, and tomorrow there'll be an actual video coming out to follow this one about what's coming down. Have a blessed day and get your build on.